Hare Krishna. So today is probably the concluding part of the discussion between Srila Haridasa Thakura and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we will start with Mangalacharan prayers and then we will continue. So I will share my screen so we can follow the Mangalacharan prayers. Okay, great. Hopefully you can see the screen. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavane Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Next we will recite the invocation verses for Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's share that. One second. Okay. I hope you can see the slide, our favorite slide of Srila Shukadeva Goswami instructing Parikshit Maharaj on the most beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam. And another picture, and then retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Suta Goswami to Shaunakadi Rishis. And please repeat after, like in a lead follow format. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So again, we will continue the lead follow for these verses also. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
देवकी नंदनाय च
देवकी नंदनाय च
नंदगोपकुमाराय
नंदगोपकुमाराय
गोविंदाय नमो नमः.
गोविंदाय नमो नमः.
Thank you. So we have been diving into the conversation between the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose holy name is none other than his personal form, and Namacharya Srila Haridasa Thakura. No two better personalities to have a discussion on the holy name. And this discussion came around from the discussion of Ajamila, where upon taking the name of the Lord without offenses, even though it was just a name, not even with the indication of the Lord, with the indication of his son, he was saved from the hands of the Yamadutas and put on the path of bhakti. So this is the great glory of the holy name. And today we will just conclude this discussion with the fact, or sort of the realization, that this is the glory of the holy name. So I just want to start with a pastime, and I will ask you sort of a question. I asked this question to myself. And after spending so many weeks reading about this pastime of Ajamila, and then going into the discussion of the 10 offenses, and then further the discussion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Haridasa Thakura, what is the most valuable thing in the material world? Materially, let's just say, materially, what would be the most valuable thing you would want? Just a normal answer. Don't try to apply or...
Health.
Health. Okay, very good. Food. Yeah, so I was saying, don't apply the devotional teachings that you have heard. If I were to go on and ask any sort of a common sense person. Now, I'm saying in the material world. So let me put the question very carefully. So when I say material world, it means that the person is aware of the fact that the material body goes through cycles, goes from species to species, based on one's karma, one's activities, the karmic burden or baggage that one has accumulated. All that is known to the person I'm asking this question. It's not just to a common man on the street who just thinks this life is all that there is. Not that way, okay? But he has no knowledge about God, or how to make spiritual progress, or that there is something called spiritual world, which is higher than the material world. That knowledge does not exist. But one is aware of the cycle of birth and death in the material world. So everything that is material, in that context, I am asking again, what is the most valuable thing you can have? Any ideas? Would you still say health?
Time.
Time. So I assume you mean that, making best use of time or having a long life, or having more time with you to live. So something like having almost a very, very long life of millions of years or billions of years. Is that what you meant?
I think time cannot get back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Okay. So ability to elongate the amount of time you have, if I'm getting you correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. So having a long life, I can just kind of simplify it. Okay. Very nice. What else? So somebody in the room says consciousness. What does that mean?
What we are thinking, how we are spending.
Okay, so how we are thinking, our thoughts, and how what we are doing, you're saying your activities. Okay, so, okay. Anything else? So purifying your activities and having good activities and good thoughts. Can I say that? Okay, what would be the most value, again, just to kind of put the question again in the front of your mind, what's the most valuable thing you could think of having in the material world? Yes, Mataji.
No, I was going to say the same, like doing pious activities so we can get good credits, so we can get human life or go to the higher plane.
Okay, very nice point. So a couple of things you said. Mataji here in the room says that ability to accumulate pious credits. And I was kind of looking with a question in my eyes, but then she followed up with sort of the answer that why pious credits? What's so great about pious credits? Then she said, so that I can get a human life in the next life. So the idea is to not become a insect or a tree or a cat or a dog, but to get a higher form of life in the next life. Right? Okay, very nice. Somehow if you could be, guaranteed or a way to get a higher life. Okay. Anything else on the Zoom?
Having peace.
Having peace. Okay, but what would give you peace?
Good relationships.
Okay, good relationships. Okay.
Many other things, but yeah, I think good relationships.
Good relationships. Okay.
Material sort of need fulfillment. So because those needs are different. For someone who's hungry, like a hungry animal, food is like, who's thirsty, water may be the most important thing. So whatever material needs need to be fulfilled. Having those fulfilled, I think, will give the greatest pleasure at that point in time. Only purely at a material level. Yeah,
purely at material level. The question is at material level. So fulfilling material needs. So, food, roti, kapda, makan, so to say. Right? That's the very most basic definition of material needs.
Level, right? Hungry, thirst,
yeah. Hunger, thirst. And at a human level, can we say that money can fulfill most of those needs? Assuming that, there is no world war and, there's no shortage of food and there is no currency deflation where, none of those things are there. You can buy things. So money can buy most things. Money can even buy relationships. At some level, everybody wants to become a friend of a rich man, so to say. So he has and they will try to be very good friends with him. Only when it comes down to very, very deep aspects, then only he realizes that, oh, these are not true friends. But, people will give everything they have to a rich man to befriend him because, who knows, whatever happens. And, so money can buy many things. Yes, Prabhuji.
Lack of desire attributes of selflessness and sacrifice.
For what purpose?
For the purpose of engaging in devotion.
Okay, so now so you said for the purpose of devotional service. Yeah. But that was that's out of scope of the question. Okay, so I think we got several answers. Anything
How
else?
much?
Yes.
Happiness? Happiness?
Happiness, sure. And how would you characterize happiness? That's the question. In your world, let's say, what is happiness? What gives happiness?
Happiness in the sense that basically you don't want, no suffering, no, basically no suffering in the material world. That is what I would say. And true happiness would be, I don't know, bliss, maybe with, again, then it goes into devotional. Yeah.
Yeah. So happiness and no suffering. That's what you said. So, at least that is, I feel that no suffering is a little more concrete than happiness, because no suffering says that, okay, I don't want to suffer, whether it is bodily pain, mental pain,
Yes.
adhibhautik, adhyatmik, and adhidaivik.
Yeah.
None of those sufferings, 3 types of sufferings are there, right?
Right.
You don't want to suffer at a bodily level. All those are bodily. Mind is also part of the material body.
Yes.
No bodily suffering. Great. So I think, okay, so we'll move on. So the reason why I'm asking this is and some answers were money or, wealth or some kind of opulence. And the same question was asked by one person to a devotee that I want the most valuable thing in the world. And then he said that there is this one person by the name of Sanatana Gosvami. And he has a touchstone. A touchstone means something that you can use to touch anything and it will turn into gold. And it means that you can become a massively rich person if you have the touchstone. So you go to him, he might give you the touchstone. And that is the most valuable thing. So he said, okay. And he went to Sri Sanatana Goswami and he asked him for the touchstone. I have heard that you have a touchstone. And Sanatana Goswami said, yes, I had it, but many years ago, I just threw it somewhere in the back of my house in the, in the jungle or whatever, in the, somewhere I threw it. So you can go and find it. If you find it, you can take it. I have no need for it. So he went and searched and he found the touchstone. And he found that it was a real touchstone. But then he thought that if this person has thrown away the touchstone, why would you throw away touchstone? If he has thrown it away, it means he has something more valuable, which he's not giving me. I want the most valuable thing. So that person who told me about touchstone lied to me, saying Sanatana Goswami has the most valuable thing called touchstone. He lied. Touchstone is not the most valuable thing he has. So he goes to Sanatana Goswami and says, you know what? I wanted the most valuable thing. Somebody told me it is the touchstone you have, but I don't believe him. Give me the most valuable thing you have. You're following? And then Sanatana Goswami said, okay, yes, I have something more valuable than the touchstone. But first you go and throw away the touchstone in the river. So he said, okay, I'm interested to get the most valuable thing. And he went and threw away the touchstone in the river and came back. He said, I have now thrown it away. Tell me the most important thing. And Sri Sanatana Goswami gave him the holy name. And he told that this is the most valuable thing. Because, again, the answer was spiritual, that this holy name is none other than Krishna himself. But even at a material level, what will the touchstone give? A lot of opulence in this life. This holy name can give much, much more than what a touchstone can give. What this holy name can give is complete eradication of all the baggage of all the past lives, so that one can get a very, very opulent life after life after life in this material world. Not only that, that is just a side effect. One can get Krishna Bhakti. So that even at a material level, and of course at a spiritual level, the holy name is so powerful. It is even more powerful than the touchstone. Many devotees here said remove suffering. Suffering, as we know, whether in this life or as part of a species, we could imagine, you know, dog suffers more than human, right? Bolte na kutte ki maut marega. So who wants to die like a dog, so to say, right? It's very undignified, painful, whatever it may be, right? So even at a material level, the holy name is so powerful that it can remove our suffering, because it removes all the karmic baggage that we have been carrying. And that arguably is more valuable than just gold or having a long life in this life. Then when you die, what happens next? So removing all suffering is a very, very, very big material accomplishment. And the holy name, by eradicating all the sinful baggage, provides that. Therefore, it is more powerful than a touchstone. And that is, by the way, just a byproduct. The real product is Krishna Bhakti. So that is the benefit of the holy name. So that is the aspect that is going to come out today in the final question between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Haridasa Thakura. So this is the third question. I think somebody should mute. What is that? Okay, maybe it got muted. So that is the aspect which will come out today. And another question will be answered. So we have covered two main questions between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Haridasa Thakura. What was the first question? Anybody remembers? Please say the whole one.
So how will the Yavanas be delivered?
Yes. So Narottam Vilas Prabhu very kindly said that those who are taking the holy name, in some way, fine, they are taking the holy name and there is a hope that they will get delivered. But what happens to those who are not taking the holy name? Isn't it? So then Haridasa Thakur's response was that they are taking the holy name through some other way. And the sort of the word used was haram. It is, one is also taking the name of Ram, even one is using the word haram. What was the next question then?
If all the living entities are liberated, then who will remain on earth?
No. You have jumped ahead. Huh? So, yeah. So the second question was, and yes, anybody on Zoom?
How about animals and plants that are not able to chant the holy names by their own?
Very nice. Thank you, Gagan Prabhu. So for what about those who are not saying haram? Human beings who are not only not saying Ram, not even saying haram or any such word. We had read other words like, what was that? Raj Mahishi, something like that, Ram, who are not by some way saying any of these words, or other species who cannot say these words like cats and dogs or even trees. What about them? Only those who say Ram or Haram or Raj Mahishi or some other thing like that, they kind of get lucky. Or like Ajamil who says Narayana to his son. So they kind of are lucky. What about the others? And the answer is by hearing. If somebody happens to say the name and they hear, it's not important that they just have to say. Just by hearing, they can get the benefit. Okay. So now the circle of sort of influence has expanded from just those who can say to those who can hear. Many, many, many living entities hear. And it is not necessary for them to even have ears. Like trees don't have ears, at least not that we know of. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Haridasa Thakura says that when the echo comes out, it means they are doing kirtana. They are hearing and they are echoing it back. So it's not necessary to have material ears because the Hari Naam is spiritual. They all have soul. So at a soul level, they can hear. Okay. So that was the second question. So now everybody, Hare Krishna, everybody is hearing the name. So by hearing simply, many, many people's sinful baggage is going to get destroyed. And they will be put on the path of bhakti and ultimately they will be liberated. So today's third question is, like now that's what Ram Prasad Prabhu said. The third question is, like this, everybody will get liberated. Then the whole universe will become empty. Then what will happen? Is that the purpose? To make the universe empty? What will happen then? Who will inhabit this big universe or so many other universes? So that is the question that we will deal with. And embedded within that question is that no, there is no catch. It is absolutely true that even just by hearing the name, this benefit is available. And this goes to say the sheer power of the holy name. There is nothing that is impossible for the Lord. The holy name is so powerful. One should not have any doubt on the power of the holy name. No doubt at all one should have. Okay? So that is the discussion that we will go into. So we will share screen. And we will open the library. We will go to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Those who are interested can note down. This topic is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, chapter 3. And this, we have been going through the discussion starting from verse number 48 or 49. 49. One day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and met Haridasa Thakura as usual. In the course of discussion, he inquired as follows. So then those three questions ensue. So we are at text number 77. Oh, so we have to go into advanced mode to relish it better. So for all those who are interested, there is something called default view. If you click here, you can go to advanced view. Very beautiful feature of vedabase.io. And then you can get the full thing like you get in the printed book. I have disabled that. So and you can disable how much of it you want to see. So here I have enabled everything, the verse in Bengali, the synonyms, means word by word. No, this one doesn't have Bengali text. So this is just the English transliteration, synonyms, the translation by Srila Prabhupada and the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So we will go to verse number 77. Okay. Hare Krishna. So 77. So this is the third question. So we will spend about, maybe 30-35 minutes on this, and then we will conclude the overall discussion. Okay. So, verse number 77. This is third question by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhu kahe, sab jiva mukti yabe pabe, eita brahmand tabe jiva shunya habe. Those of you who know a little bit Hindi or whatever can catch some words, right? So you can understand it's I just find it more relishable to read the original language, whether it is Sanskrit or Bengali, and then, read the translation and relish the whole thing. So Prabhu kahe, Prabhu means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Saba jiva mukti yabe pabe. If all the jivas get mukti, right? Ei brahmanda tabe jiva shunya habe. In this brahmanda, there'll be the shunya jivas, 0 jivas left, isn't it? So how do we explain that situation? Okay, so translation is, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, if all living beings are liberated, all living entities are liberated, the entire universe will be devoid of living beings. Then Srila Haridasa Thakura replies, Haridas bole, Tumara yavat martya sthiti, tavat sthavara jangama sarva jiva jati. Saba mukta kari tumi vaikuntha pathaiba, sukshma jive punah karme udbuddha kariba. So the meaning is, Srila Haridasa Thakura saying, Haridasa bale tumara yavat martya sthiti, as long as you are on this material world. Martya means in this material world, in this world of birth and death. As long as you are present, sthiti means you are sthita, you are present here. Tavat sthavara jangama, all these, moving and non-moving entities, sarva jiva jati, they are all going to go back to the spiritual world. Saba mukta kari tumi Vaikuntha pathaiba. You will liberate all of them and take them to Vaikuntha. So while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present, he has done that. Then what will happen? Sukshma jive punah karme udbuddha kariba. The Sukshma jivas, there are many, many, many uncountable living entities who are in the unmanifest state. Sukshma jiva. They will, out of their past pending karmas, they will inhabit the universe. So there is no dearth, there is no limitation, or there is no supply shortage, so to say. These days we have supply chain problems. That's why, everything is so expensive, so to say. So there is no supply shortage of jivas to inhabit the universe. That is the point being made. So the translation is, Haridasa said, my dear Lord, my Lord, as long as you are situated within the material world, you will send to the spiritual sky all the developed moving and non-moving living entities in different species. Then again, you will awaken the living entities who are not yet developed, which means the unmanifest ones, the Sukshma living entities, and engage them in their activities in the material world. So they will populate the material world. So there is no problem. There is no problem in the understanding that those who hear the holy name, all their sinful baggage is eradicated, and very quickly they will go back to the spiritual world. There is no doubt in that statement, and there is no contradiction, there is no problem in understanding it either. Nothing falls apart. The universe does not fall apart. There will be new living entities that will come. Next. Yes.
If you can go back to the translation. So the second part of it, then again you will awaken the living entities who are not yet developed and engage them in activities.
Mm-hmm.
So why should that be done?
Because they have pending karma. They have passed. So the question is, why should the Lord awaken the Sukshma Jive Punah Karme Udbuddha Kariba? they will get a chance to continue their cycle of birth and death. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that when a universe is over, this is in 8th chapter, and Lord Krishna is describing to Arjuna how a given lifetime of Brahma works. And he says there that the context of saying that is that even though Lord Brahma's life appears to be so long, in the spiritual sense, it is still very short. Therefore, one must perform devotional service to go to the eternal destination, which is truly eternal, Paramam Gatim. Tad Dhamam Paramam Mama. After going there, one does not come back. So this is the portion of 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In that context, Lord Krishna describes in the few verses, this is from verse number 8.15 to 8.21. Those 7 verses describe this aspect. And there Lord Krishna says that after, so the living entities keep taking birth in the universe. Then when the pralaya happens, pralaya means the night time of Brahma, when this complete destruction of the material world happens, then that is the night time of Brahma, which is as long as his daytime. All the living entities enter into the body of Lord Vishnu in their unmanifest state. And when upon the day of Brahma, so sorry, I said full destruction, I meant partial destruction. So they are manifested again so that they can continue their cycle of birth and death. So whatever accumulated karmic activities they have, it is not automatically absolved or nullified upon the night of Brahma. They still have to go through and enjoy or suffer the sweet or the bitter fruits of their past karma. And this cycle keeps going on. And if once Brahma dies, then you go to a new universe of a new Brahma. So this activity keeps going on. Okay, so that's the answer to your question. So there are unmanifest living entities all over the universes. Some universes are in a partial state of destruction. Some are in a living state. There is all kinds of, various states present and living entities present in various states everywhere in material creation. Okay, so there is no shortage of supply of living entities. Okay. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, when we say not yet developed living being, can we say which cannot hear the holy name or cannot see the Lord or cannot sense? Like...
So these living entities are not even present at this point on this planet. So here it is written Sukshma Jive. So these are the Sukshma Jivas who are not counted as part of the Sthavara or Jangama. They are in their unmanifest state. They are not counted as part of those who are hearing the holy name. Okay? They are just not present here. Okay?
They are in between birth and death.
They are between birth and death, or yeah, that's a more complex discussion of what is the meaning of Sukshma Jiva and unmanifested state. But that's what it is. Okay? After a certain number of questions you ask, my answer will be, I don't know. So this is a complicated discussion. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. Anything else? And here we will read Srila Prabhupada's purport here. So Srila Haridasa Thakura continues to say, Sei jiva have ihan sthavara jangama tahate bharibe brahmand yena purva sama. So in this way, the brahmand will keep working. Those newer living entities will populate the universe. So translation is, in this way, all moving and non-moving living entities will come into existence, and then the entire universe will be filled as it was previously filled. And here Srila Prabhupada writes a short but very nice purport that while we are preaching, opposing elements sometimes argue, if all the living entities were delivered by the Krishna consciousness movement, what would happen then? The universe would be devoid of living entities. In answer to this, we may say that in a prison, there are so many prisoners, but if one thinks that the prison would be empty, if all the prisoners adopted good behavior, then he is incorrect. Even if all the prisoners within a jail are freed, other criminals will fill it again. A prison will never be vacant, for there are many prospective criminals who will fill the prison cells, even if the present criminals are freed by the government. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 13.22, Karanam guna sango asya sat asad yoni janmashu. That because of this karana of guna sango, one's affiliation with material modes, all the living entities are performing sat and asat activities, and therefore are getting sat and asat yonis or species. So like this, they are getting into different species, different bodies in different species based on their different activities, pious or sinful. Like this, the cycle keeps moving. Because, so I'm reading again, because of the living entity's association with material nature, he meets with good and evil among various species. Oh, that's the translation of that section, of that part. There are many unmanifested living entities covered by the mode of ignorance who will gradually come to the mode of passion. Most of them will become criminals because of their fruitive activities and again fill the prisons. So again, point is, you will never be short of supply. Okay? So one should not think that once the Lord has delivered everybody right now at this point, then supply will be over. Oops, what happened? Everything good? So here the screen is lost here in the room. Oh, it came back. Okay, very good. Next. Oh, so next is 81. And here example is being given. It didn't happen like this in the past. Lord Chaitanya is not the first time that the Lord is descending in the universe. Who has he descended as before? Lord Rama.
Lord Rama.
Lord Rama and also Lord Krishna. So first the example is being given of Lord Rama. Another name of Lord Ram is Raghunath. He is Raghunath. So Srila Haridasa Thakura says, Purve yena Raghunatha sab Ayodhya lana Vaikuntha gela anya jive Ayodhya bharana. So when Lord Raghunath was there, he took the whole of Ayodhya to Vaikuntha. Okay. And then Anya Jive Ayodhya Bharana, Bhar diya. Anya Jivo ne Ayodhya ko bhar diya. If you go to Ayodhya today, is it empty? No. There's a lot of many living entities in Ayodhya. So that is the point being made. Previously, when Lord Ramchandra left this world, he took with him all the living entities of Ayodhya. Then he filled Ayodhya again with other living entities. 82. Avatari tumi aiche patiyacha hata kena keha na bhujite pare tumhara gudha nata. So here Haridas Thakur is saying that basically nobody, bujhite pare means to figure out. Nobody can figure out tomara, your gudha nata. Nata means natak. Natak is the root word is nata, or your your orchestration, your activity, or your lila. Huh? My dear Lord, you have set a plan in motion by descending to the material world, but no one can understand how you are acting. So this is a highly, highly inconceivable aspect of the Lord's activity. That just by hearing his name, the whole world gets delivered. And how it doesn't change anything in terms of, okay, now how the world will function. This is all very, very inconceivable. And the same thing happened at the time of Lord Krishna. Purve yena vraje Krishna kari avatar sakala brahmand jivera khandaila samsar. So not just Ayodhya, but whole Brahmanda at the time of Lord Krishna. Formerly, when Lord Krishna descended in Vrindavan, he freed all living entities in the universe from material existence in the same way. So at least going by just the literal words of the verses, Lord Ramachandra, it was mentioned Ayodhya. It could have meant a lot more. But at least the word says Ayodhya. Here the word says Sakala Brahmanda Jivera. All Brahmanda, the whole universe's living entities. Khandaila Samsara. They were evicted, or they were like ejected from the samsara. They were freed. Okay. And then if for someone, if this seems, verse number 84 is as it is written here from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.29.16, 10th canto, 29th chapter, which is the beginning of the 5 chapters of the most confidential pastimes of the Lord. The Rasa dance pastimes known as the Rasa Pancha Adhyaya. And this is part of that. It is significant because it is showing there are, of course, much, much more deeper and more confidential aspects of the Lord, which are given in the Rasa Pancha Adhyaya. But this is one of the very confidential aspects. And therefore, it is mentioned there. And this is occurring as a part of a discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Srila Shukadev Goswami. Oh, is it? Okay. Okay, I'll keep moving the mouse. I see. Okay, sure. So this verse is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Parikshit Maharaj is questioning Shukadev Goswami that how is the Lord so mystical or so inconceivable? What all are the various inconceivable aspects of the Lord, so to say, in that section? And Shukadev Goswami replies, there is nothing inconceivable or nothing impossible for the Lord. He is the master of the masters of the mystics. Yoga Yogeshwara Krishna. He is not just Yogeshwara. Yoga Yogeshwara Krishna. You can see here in the 3rd line. So the verse is very apt, and therefore it has been quoted here by Srila Haridasa Thakura to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Haridasa Thakura is quoting this verse. Na chaivam vismayaha karyo. Vismaya means inconceivable or not understandable. So na chaivam vismayaha karyo bhavata bhagavati aje yoga yogeshware krishne yata etad vimuchyate. That na chaivam vismayaha karyo. There is nothing astonishing or impossible, so to say, in the activities of the Supreme Lord, Bhavata Bhagavati Ajay. Aja means who is unborn, of Bhagavata, of Lord Krishna, who is the Yoga Yogeshwara Krishna. He is the master of the masters of the mystics, Krishna. Yata etad vimuchyate, by whom all the living entities are delivered. So there is absolutely no problem with this understanding. And then another verse is quoted by Sri Haridasa Thakura. This is from, as you can see here, Vishnu Purana. And this says that one of the most such wonderful, inconceivable aspects is that by simply taking the name of the Lord, even in a conception that is not directly associated with the Lord, even in dvesha, the key word is dvesha anubandhena api, which means dvesha, you all understand, envy or hatred, dvesha, and anubandhena means with the conception of. So, ayam hi Bhagavan drishta kirtitaha samshritascha. If somebody is able to see the Lord, drishtaha, kirtitaha is able to take the name of the Lord, kirtana, kirtitaha, samshmistas means remember the Lord, even in an envious way, dvesha anubandhena api, by the suras or asuras, akhila sura asuradi, sura, or by the pious people or the impious people, still they get this very rare phala, durbalam phalam prayachati, this very rare phala, benefit they get, that they are put on the path of liberation. Kim uta samyag bhakti matam iti. Then what to speak of somebody who is taking the name in bhakti, with bhakti, bhakti matam. Okay, how much more powerful is that? So the translation given by Srila Prabhupada is, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, drishta, glorified, kirtita, or remembered, samshritascha, with an attitude of envy, dvesha anubandhena, he nevertheless awards the most confidential liberation, which is rarely achieved by the demigods and demons. It is very, very rare. What then can be said of those who are already fully engaged in devotional service to the Lord? Okay. And later on, we will see what happens to those who are fully engaged. We will see in live demonstration of what happens to those who are fully engaged, what the Lord does. Okay. So we will see, we'll wait. If I forget, remember, remind me. Okay. So similarly, Srila Haridasa Thakura is saying, you are doing. Here he has given two examples of Lord Rama and Lord Krishna. Taiche tumi navadvipe kari avatar, sakala brahmanda jivera karila nishtara. That by descending as an incarnation at Navadvipa, you, just like Krishna, have already delivered all the living entities of the universe. And then he says, this is my final conclusion. Ye kahe Chaitanya Mahima mora gochara haya se januka mora punaha eita nishchaya. One may say that he understands the glories of Chaitanya, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may know whatever he may know, but as far as I am concerned, this is my conclusion. So Srila Haridasa Thakura is saying, this is the firm conclusion I have. I don't care what anybody believes in or says or doesn't say. This is my conclusion. And Srila Haridasa Thakura is none other than Lord Brahma himself. And this is an extremely bona fide statement from the Naam Acharya Haridasa Thakura. And then he continues to say that he is so amazed at the power of the holy name. Tumara e Leela Maha Amritera Sindhu, Mora Mano Gochara Nahi Tara Ek Bindu. My dear Lord, your pastimes are just like an ocean of nectar. It is not possible for me to conceive how great that ocean is, or even to understand a drop of it. This is very, very, very inconceivable. But it is true. So however inconceivable it may seem to you, don't worry. It is even inconceivable for Haridasa Thakur. It is inconceivable but not unknown. Okay? There's a difference. Inconceivable and unknown are two different things. To know something, it is not necessary that you have to fully understand how it works. Like, for example, the iPhone. You know how it works, you make good use of it, right? Can any of you live without a smartphone anymore? You can live without food and water for one day, but can you live without smartphone without one day? Not possible. But do you know how it works? You don't know how it works. No one person knows how it works. Everybody knows only little, right? So it is possible to know something that it works, but without knowing all the details. It is possible. So if one cannot say that it is inconceivable, then how can I know it? That's not a valid question. Understood? So even Srila Haridasa Thakur says it is inconceivable for him. How can just the name of the Lord have so much power? And it is so easily accessible. Whatever is supposed to be so powerful, it should be rare, should be hard to access. So this is the inconceivability. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also amazed. He's like, wait a minute. These are supposed to be my most confidential secrets. How does Haridasa Thakur know all this? This was not supposed to be revealed to anyone. And that is the purpose of appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees. They freely distributed the holy name, which has so much power. No avatar before has done that. No avatar has even distributed touchstone freely, let alone the holy name, which is more valuable, as we had discussed earlier. So that is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also astonished. Hearing all this, Eta suni prabhura mane chamatkara haila, mora gudha lila haridasa ke mane janila. So, prabhura mane chamatkara haila. In Lord Chaitanya's man, in his mind, it was like a shock, chamatkar, like a astonishment. Mora gudha lila. Gudha lila means my deep secrets of my activities, of my lila. Haridas kemane janila. How does Haridas know all these things? Okay. And that is the answer will come in a short time. Manera santoshe tanre kaila alingana bahye prakashite e saba korila varjana. So, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was greatly satisfied. He was so satisfied by this whole discussion with Srila Haridasa Thakur, and he embraced him. Kaila alingana. He embraced him, he hugged him. But he did not bahye prakashite e saba karila varjana. Then he stopped the discussion. He did not want to go deeper into this very, very confidential, very, very inconceivable discussion. He stopped the discussion. So greatly satisfied by the statements of Sri Haridasa Thakura, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. Outwardly, however, he avoided further discussion on these matters. Ishvara Swabhava Aishwarya Chahe Achhaidite Bhakta Thani Lukaite Nare Hayata Vidite. This is the characteristic of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. This is well known everywhere. So, this is the answer to that question. Which question? That if these are so confidential aspects, then how can one know it if they are so confidential? So the confidentiality of these leelas, of these gudha tattva or these gudha leelas, is only for those who are not devotees. And Lord can very easily cover his confidentiality by Maya, by his Yoga Maya potency. He says that in Bhagavad Gita also. All the confidentiality and all the true potency of the Lord can very easily cover it with Maya. But guess what? Maya has absolutely no effect on devotees. Devotees can see right through Maya. And therefore, this Maya, this curtain of Maya is like a curtain of glass for the devotees. For the non-devotees, it's like an iron curtain. But for the devotees, it is like a glass curtain. The devotees can completely see all the inconceivabilities of the Lord. That is the characteristic. So this is Ishvara Swabhava. This is the nature of the Supreme Lord. This is just how it is. This is a characteristic of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he wants to cover his opulence, he cannot do so before his devotees. He just cannot. There is absolutely no mechanism that he has. The Lord is like fully transparent to his devotees. This is another verse from the Stotra Ratna written by Srila Yamunacharya. And there also, it is confirmed here in this verse also that the Lord cannot hide. He can hide everything he wants. He's very powerful. He can hide everything he wants from the non-devotees, no problem. But he cannot hide anything from his devotees. So I'll just read the English. Oh my Lord, everything within the material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, which is Maya, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. So the devotees very clearly understand the inconceivable aspects. They may not know how it all works internally, but they know all the conclusions. This is how, this is what it is, this is what it is. So the devotees have no doubt about the potency of the holy name. And then from 93 to 97, 5 more verses, and that will be the end. In these 5 verses, like I said, the Lord, what does he do for the devotees, is described. For the ones who just take his name, even out of envy, even in naam abhaas, he very easily gives removes the baggage of sinful reactions and so on. That is his, that's the least he can do. He's not, God's job is to not keep track of how much offense you have done. That's the most boring or least important job for God. He's least interested in doing that. Okay. What is he more interested in then? What he's interested more is, any ideas, anybody? What does God, yeah. Anybody?
Liberation of devotees.
He wants
liberation of devotees. No, that is not also God's most important activity.
He wants
his
devotees prema, love of
behavior and in what way he is doing nama japa and his behavior and his honesty, everything is there, Prabhuji. Krishna is observing every man. Yeah.
We just said that is actually the most important job, to observe what everybody is doing, etc., etc. That's not interesting to God. Here in the room,
he wants he wants devotees prema, that's all.
He wants devotees prema, but the question is, what does he enjoy doing? What is his most favorite activity? Yes, Shilpa Mataji here in the room.
To be in the company of devotees.
Okay, to be in the company of devotees. Yes, Mataji?
And to protect them.
Huh?
And to protect them.
Enjoy their company. Okay, protect them.
He wants...
but not every devotee is in danger or in need of protection. Loving exchanges here, Narottam Vilas Prabhu is saying. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and one who spreads his glories.
What about them?
He loves those devotees. They are dear to him, who spread him.
Sure, but what is he interested in doing? What is his main job? Yes. The Lord's most pleasing job for the Lord, what he loves doing himself, is to glorify his devotees. He wants to do bhajan. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham, bhajami aham. This is what Lord wants to do. He wants to do bhajan of his devotees. So the Lord is also doing japa, so to say. We are doing japa of the Lord. He is doing japa of the devotees. He is constantly glorifying his devotees. That is the activity he enjoys most. So that is what is coming up now. And a practical demonstration is given here, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this point, who is none other than Krishna himself, he is so happy with Srila Haridasa Thakura that he says that I just want to glorify Haridasa Thakura with hundreds of mouths. If I had hundreds of mouths, I would use all of them to glorify Haridasa Thakura. That you cannot get simply by taking the name of the Lord with envy. He will say, okay, fine, you have taken the name of me, here, all your sinful action is gone, fine, you can be happy. But you cannot get me to do your bhajan. If you want, not that if you want, but the extra level, the higher level is that the Lord does your bhajan, the devotee's bhajan. That is what is the highest state. So, tabe Mahaprabhu nija bhakta pase yana Haridasa guna kahe shata mukha hana. That then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees. Nija Bhakta Pasayana. He went to all his close associates. And Haridasera Guna Kahe. He started glorifying and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities, Shatamukha Hana, as if he had Shatamukh, hundreds of mouths. That state where the Lord is singing your glories can only be attained by pure bhakti. Bhaktera guna kahite prabhura badaye ullasa. So that is what gives ullas. Ullas means happiness, extreme happiness, just filled with joy. Bhakta gana shrestha tate Sri Haridasa. That Bhaktera guna kahite prabhura badaye ullas. To sing the glories of the bhakta, Bhaktera guna kahe or kahite, to speak the glories of the bhakta is what gives the Lord bada ullas, the maximum joy. Bhakta gana shrestha tate Sri Haridasa. And who is the best among the bhaktas? Sri Haridasa Thakur here. So he is just cannot stop singing the glories of Haridasa Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, and among the devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. And then in conclusion, few more verses. Haridasa Gunagana Asankhya Apar Keha Kona Amshe Varne Nahi Paya Par. That the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. Asankhya and Apar. That is the extent of Haridas Gunagana. Kahe kona amsha varne. One can speak a ansha, a small part of it. Nahi paya par. You cannot like go completely describe it because they are innumerable. And then he says, Chaitanya Mangale Shri Vrindavana Dasa Haridasera Guna Kichu Kariya Chena Prakash. That in Chaitanya Mangala, Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur has described some more details. So Vrindavan Das Thakur has written another biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is called Chaitanya Bhagavatam. Now it is called Chaitanya Bhagavatam. I'll speak a little more about it. So there he is referring. So Chaitanya Charitamrita was written after Chaitanya Bhagavatam. And at many places, and this is, you can see here the mood of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's not competing. It's not a competitor biography or anything like that. He is always saying that I am only describing the portions of the life of, or the activities, life, instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that were not described by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So I'm just, it is a supplement. It is not a competing work at all. And every place he's giving full credit to Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur is an incarnation of Vyasadeva. He is the one who has, Vyasadev's position is what? He has written about Lord Krishna. And Vrindavan Das Thakur's biography of Lord Chaitanya is the most authoritative. And he is incarnation of Vyasadeva. And here it is called Chaitanya Mangala because he had named his work as Chaitanya Mangala. At the same time, another very wonderful devotee called Lochan Das Thakur wrote another work called Chaitanya Mangala, also on the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very quickly, Vrindavan Das Thakur changed the name of his work out of humility. Didn't say, oh, I have, given the same name, you change it. No, not like that. He changed the name of his own work, called it Chaitanya Bhagavatam. But that at that point of time, it was not known to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that this change has occurred. Therefore, he is calling Vrindavan Das Thakur's work as Chaitanya Mangala, which in the present day is known as Chaitanya Bhagavatam. Okay, and it is available in print and online and many places. Srila Prabhupada did not write the commentaries because Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj had already written the commentary in English. Srila Prabhupada has never written any commentaries for which English commentaries were present. He has only written commentaries or purports where English commentaries or purports were not present, and then he has derived from the previous commentaries written in other languages and then put his purports together. So in Chaitanya Mangal, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. And final verse, Sab kaha na yaya Haridasera charita, keha kichu kahe karite apana pavitra. That Sab kaha na yaya Haridasera charitra. It is not possible to describe Na yaya Haridasera Charitra. It's not possible to fully describe the activities of Srila Haridas Thakur. Little bit can be said for one's own purification. Keha kichu kahe karite apna pavitra. For your own purification, one can speak a little bit. So no one can describe all the qualities of Srila Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. So this is the sort of the ending of this whole pastime. So to summarize, what we discussed today was the concluding part of this conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur, where the third question was answered, that the holy name, out of its sheer power, can give so much benefit to all the living entities, even those who are unable to hear, moving and non-moving living entities, that the whole universe may seem to get empty. Then is that not a contradiction? No, that is not a contradiction. Such is the power of the holy name. And then we saw that this, what we may consider as so powerful, is not actually powerful at all from the Lord's perspective. That is just a small thing that the Lord can do. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a reference, I can't remember exactly where, somewhere where Lord Krishna and Yuddhishthir Maharaj have a discussion when Lord Krishna, after the battle, stays with the Pandavas for some time. And it's not directly in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is referred in one of the purports, I believe. And this is verse quoted from Mahabharata, where Lord Krishna says to Yuddhishthir Maharaj at that time, of course, at that Yuddhishthir Maharaj knows fully well who Krishna is, that I think Yuddhishthir Maharaj says this to Lord Krishna, not the other way around, that whoever takes your name very casually, very easily, you give them liberation. That is so easy for you and so, like, by the way kind of thing for you. Oh, you have taken my name? Okay, fine. Chalo, next. Oh, you have taken my name? Fine. You get liberated. Chalo, next. Like this. You have no problem in that. You are so easy. But, so for one who is taking the name of the Lord, or to give liberation basically, is so easy. But to accept service from someone, to bhakti is service, right? That is not very easy. You may do bhakti but Lord may not receive it. Because if he accepts your bhakti, then he becomes completely purchased by you. Then he has to serve you. He has to become your servant. That is what he guards very, very carefully. So 2 points are being made in that discussion. One is that the Lord very easily gives liberation. That is not a problem for him from his standpoint. What he does not allow so easily is to be purchased. And that means that he does not accept service from everyone. Getting him to accept our service is very, very hard. And that is why, by the way, we say that we should never try to give direct service to the Lord. Do we all try to serve the Lord? How do we serve the Lord? No, but how do we try to serve the Lord? Through what means? What do you do to, so to say, to serve the Lord? What do?
Offerings.
Yeah, offering food. Even taking the holy name is service to the Lord. I'm taking your name. So that is service. And if that is done in the mood of serving the Lord to make him happy, it should always be done through the medium of Guru, not directly, because he is unlikely to accept that service, because we are not, I am not pure. So he will not accept that service from me. But his devotees are far more merciful than him himself. So we should serve through them. We should request them, I have this small offering. Can you please offer it to Krishna? They will go and offer to Krishna. And because they are the acharyas, they are the Guru Janas, Krishna will easily accept from them. He has to. Whether it is actually offered by us or directly by them, once they are offering, then Krishna has to accept. So somehow or the other, in that way, we get our offering accepted by Krishna. Through the medium, like in India, we say, no, you have to get something done, you have to apply your source. Through proper channel or through improper channel, so to say. Directly, if you go, no, they will not sign. If you go through some known party, then get it requested, then they might. So here we apply the same principle, but for bhakti. We go through the medium of Guru. So there also it is seen, the point of connecting that aspect with this is that there also we see how easy it is, how from the Lord's perspective, he doesn't care much. What he cares about, which is far more rare, is to give his love and his service to his devotees. Okay? But from our standpoint, we should not take it casually. That taking the name, we should not take it lightly, not take it cheaply. So I am thinking that there is another thing we can talk about, but we have been in this discussion for many, many, many weeks, is actually that can become a very long topic. I will just say a couple of small things and then conclude this. For devotees who are trying to, not in like a naam abhaas, not in the stage of ignorance of the holy name. We are all, now we know the power of the holy name, and we are trying to take the name of the Lord, but we may be committing offenses. So we are not, I am not even at naam abhaas stage. But the tool, the mechanism to come to that stage, the most important ingredient, of course, is to avoid the offenses and attentively take the holy name. But in our behavior, in our sort of mood and in our attitude, one of the things that will allow the offenses to go down, there are all the aspects that we have covered: association of devotees, daily hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sambandha, Seva, serving the devotees, Bhagavata Sevaya, which means serving the person Bhagavat and the book Bhagavat. All that includes association. A very, very, very key ingredient along with all this is humility. And what is humility? I just want to conclude that we haven't touched upon this in this discussion much. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and most importantly, Srila Prabhupada have stressed on the aspect of humility. And that is what purifies our consciousness to take the holy name more and more without offenses. So adding that aspect of humility in addition to the other things that we have discussed, such as Bhagavata Seva, association of devotees, listening with attention, avoiding Vaishnava aparadh, and so many things. And I just want to conclude with reading this small section. This is a very, very beautiful portion in Bhagavad Gita. You must all read this carefully and try to apply it in one's life. I think I am just speculating here that somehow I'm just speculating that the purport, this from 8 to 12, and this Lord Krishna is describing what is jnana. And in our Bhagavad Gita discussions, I have elaborated more on the meaning of jnana and so on. But here, 20 different aspects are given of jnana. And Lord Krishna says at the end, Etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yad ato anyatha. These 20 things are jnana. Everything else apart from these 20 things is ajnana. And just these 20 things are 20 gems, 20 diamonds, pearls, whatever you can call it. These 20 things you must remember. Every one of them is a gem. And one of them is humility. So let me find it here. If somebody finds it, you should tell me.
Yeah, next one. As for the knowledge of
Yes, yes, this is the one. Humility. Very, very, very important paragraph. I mean, every paragraph is important. This is, I was just saying, I was speculating when Srila Prabhupada was writing this purport. It's a very long purport. He has written on each of those 20 items. I don't know. He was at his best. I mean, he's always at his best. There's nothing which is not best, but I just want to say that this is Srila Prabhupada. This is how he touched the hearts of millions of people. People say, I read Bhagavad Gita and then I immediately became devotee and, I got the book and, whatever. These are the kind of paragraphs, I think, at least, I don't know, many different paragraphs can touch different people's heart. I don't know. But this purport touched my heart, this whole purport. I'm very attached to this whole purport. Each paragraph is like a, very beautifully written. Oh, okay, sure, sorry. So this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 8 to 12. So humility, what is the meaning? Humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. Finish that one sentence. That one sentence is so direct and just so beautifully said. One should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. The material conception of life makes us very eager to receive honor from others. But from the point of view of a man in perfect knowledge, one who knows that he is not the body, anything, honor or dishonor, pertaining to this body is useless. One should not be hankering after this material deception. It's a deception. If somebody is honoring you or dishonoring you, either one is just a deception. Even though he may be very genuinely honoring or dishonoring, it's not like he is just doing makhan baji. Not that kind of deception. Even if he is doing genuinely, it is ultimately a deception. People are very anxious to be famous for their religion. And consequently, sometimes it is found that without understanding the principles of religion, one enters into some group which is not actually following religious principles and then wants to advertise himself as a religious mentor. As for actual advancement in spiritual science, one should have a test to see how far he is progressing. He can be judged by these items. Okay, so that is humility. To not be anxious of the satisfaction to be praised by others, to be honored by others. Because all such praise or honor, dishonor is ultimately a deception. And therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says in this most quoted verse, Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna manina amanina taroriva sahishnuna manina, what's that? Amanina manina kirtaniya sada hari. So in that mood of utter humility, kirtaniya sada hari, one can chant the holy name. So trinadapi sunichena. Trinadapi sunichena means like a blade of grass. Humble, more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant. Taroriva sahishnuna, one who has the sahan shakti or the sahishnuna, the tolerance like a tree. If you start cutting a tree, it doesn't cut you back or doesn't even say anything. Tolerant. Manina amanina. Amanina manina. No expectation of man and giving no aman to others. So don't expect honor and don't give any dishonor to others. In that mood, one can chant the holy name. So that mixed with all the other things on the foundation of humility, in association of devotees, serving devotees by constant hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and by attentively chanting the holy name, one can be firmly put on the path of bhakti. So we'll close that, we'll sort of end here. Any last minute discussions or anything? Any corrections, comments? Before devotees start dropping off, next 2 weeks we will not have a class. Is that correct? Next week, Saturday, we have the whole, almost like from Wednesday onwards, we have His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu coming to Portland. So we will have a lot of programs, a lot of Krishna Katha. So it's not that there will be no Krishna Katha. It will just be at a exponentially elevated level. So please be, and we will send out the details. I think most of the classes should be available online. We'll have to discuss with Hariparshad Prabhu that. But as and when the opportunity presents, please take advantage of it and attend. And the week after that, we are traveling, I think. So therefore, there will be no Bhagavatam. So we'll see you in the third week from today. Any last discussions, comments?
To remind verse 87 in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
I think I mentioned that what is the Lord's response for the devotees. So we covered that. Yes, Mataji.
My question is, Prabhupada always used to say that, when we chant, we have to chant in a mood, Krishna, please accept me as your servant. So when you were referring to Krishna usually guards, like not accepting our service. So how, when we are praying in that mood, does it mean that we are requesting Krishna to accept our service through Guru, or like that?
We are requesting Guru to request Krishna to accept us as his servant.
So even through Guru, he doesn't accept very easily.
No, there he accepts. Therefore, we request Guru to request Krishna to accept our service. Our service is to Krishna, but through the Guru. So service is to Krishna, but we are requesting Guru to request Krishna to accept it. Okay? We can serve Guru also. That's it. And stop there. No Krishna in the picture. We can just say, I'm serving you, Guru. That's it. What you do with this service is your business. That's one way. That's also acceptable. But when we are serving Krishna, I mean, you are serving Krishna, yes. Let's say when you are offering bhoga, is there a picture of Krishna or there is just Srila Prabhupada? Which one is it? Both. That means Krishna is part of somebody you are trying to serve. And therefore, the Guru will not just accept the service and keep it with him and say, okay, I don't care if Krishna is here. This is all for me. That's not Guru. That's not who Guru is. So whenever Lord Krishna is there, the service is all for him, except that we are requesting the Guru to request Krishna to accept it. Okay. Okay, thank you so much for joining. And 3 weeks later, we will start perhaps with a new topic or something we'll announce. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.